Alright guys, in this video I'm going to go over how you can determine quality backlinks and find links which you actually want to make to your website. So basically when it comes to backlinks, it's a little bit of a risky game. You never quite know what you're going to get, and you do always risk getting something that could harm your site, although if you take a look for certain things you can minimize the potential that you're getting a harmful link, or it's like, I was going to say PBN, but PBN in itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but if it's been done incorrectly it can be, and so on. So basically there's three key things you want to look for when looking at backlinks, and I'll give you a couple examples when we go into it. But the three are the domain authority of the website, so the DA score, the AS score, authority score, whatever tool you're using, they always give you this. Trust flow as well, it's the same thing basically. The monthly traffic that the website is getting and how consistent it's been, and whether it's going up or going down, and the niche relevancy of the link to your website, which is becoming more and more important these days for Google. They're putting a lot of relevance on niche relevancy of the link as opposed to just being a high DR, high authority. The reason why is because domain authority and monthly traffic can both be manipulated. And so the issue you have there is that just because it's like a DR50 or whatever the rating is, and it's got, 20,000 users a month, doesn't necessarily mean it's actually a good website, because that can be manipulated in a lot of ways. So you need to be very careful with that, but looking for all three of these indicators is typically a good idea. So let's take an example, and I'll just go through a quick example as if we were looking for backlinks. So let's say we want to go Plumber Tampa, and let's just pick out like one of the top guys, and we'll take a look at their backlinks and then see if we can find what links they have and if we would want to make one on that. So you can see they got 36 links. So these guys don't have a lot of links, so it might not be a good example, but let's have a quick look. If not, we'll find another one. So you can see here, this is a good example of a good one because I know this website. So let's say, for instance, you got ream.com. This one has a authority score of 51. So immediately gets your attention as well. So let's say we'd open this and we want to get a link on ream.com. So Ream is a water heater producer for the people who don't know. So there's a couple of things you can look at when it comes to this. So let's say we've got ream.com. This is an overview of the site. What we can also take a look at is throw it in here. And what you want to look at is a few things. So like I said, we had a look at the authority score. It's 51. That's pretty high. So that's good, but again, can be manipulated. The second thing is you want to look at the monthly traffic. So these guys have very high monthly traffic. As you can see, it's extremely high. If we take a look at the pattern of the traffic, there has been no significant drop off that would signify, let's say, a Google penalty or some other issue that they had with ranking. So you can see the keywords has been pretty consistent up, and it looks pretty normal, the pattern of the keyword rankings and everything. So this looks like a normal website that is not playing any, let's say, funny games and getting on Google's bad side. So far it's passed the organic traffic test and the authority score test. And then the next thing you'd want to see is this niche relevant? Now, I already know it is because this is a water heater supplier or manufacturer, and because they're obviously in the plumbing niche, they probably install the water heaters. It does make sense. So this would actually be a good backlink, but I also know that this website will be fine. Now, let's see if we can find some other examples that might not be as good. So let's say this one's interesting, Research Giant. Let's take a look at that because they got a domain rating of 28, which is not too bad. So let's have a look and see what this looks like. What you can also look at when looking at these backlinks is the referring domains by authority score, and see if they've got a natural looking profile of backlinks or referring domains, in which case they do. So what's going to happen is most websites will have 0 to 10 as by far the most websites that link to them, and then the next one is 11 to 20, and then 21 to 30, and so on, in this sort of exponentially, let's say, decreasing graph. This is quite a normal pattern. If you see a lot of links coming from like a 31 to 40 and it's like way more than the one below it, that's probably something unnatural, and you need to be careful of that because Google will see that as well and think it's an unnatural pattern. Now let's take a look at the overview for this one. So you can see here, this is a prime example of what I was talking about. So they've got a 22 authority score, which is not too bad. However, you take a look at this, and this is not a natural traffic graph. This had 150,000 or 70,000 users a month, and now it's dropped to 160. And look at the keywords. It had 1.7 million keywords, and now it's got 10,000. This is not normal. And so this is the kind of thing that you would not want to make a link on, because getting a link from this website will not do you any favors in terms of building trust in Google's eyes, because this site clearly does not have trust in Google's eyes. Otherwise, this would not have happened. Like, drops are normal, but literally tanking to 0 is not normal. Something is wrong here. This may have actually had a manual action penalty or something like that, judging by such a sharp drop in the traffic and the rankings. And then the last thing you'd want to do is take a look at the site, obviously, and see what this even is. So this looks like directory, but if we take a look here in the meta title, it actually says Seattle Marketing, Seattle Advertising Agency, but the website is clearly some kind of directory. And so there's obviously a discrepancy there as well. They're probably doing something that's unnatural. We can take a look here. They're selling backlinks as well. So this just doesn't look good. This is one I wouldn't build a link on, simply because it's just, that traffic graph is not very good. So if you build too many of these, this would be a problem, basically. So let's do one more just for the purpose of the example, but I think you can see the difference between these two contrasting ones. The first, very trustworthy website, which is an established brand and is niche relevant. This one, which is not niche relevant, it's just a local directory, and it's in Seattle as well, that I just realized, versus it said Seattle, whereas these guys are in Tampa, and then this drop off here. So basically 2 out of 3 are red flags. I wouldn't be going with this. Now let's just pick out one more. Most of these will be directories, as you can see here, like Allbiz and all that. They're pretty much always directory. Let's go, Florida Pages is interesting because it's a Florida one. So let's take a look at that one, and we'll open it in SEMrush. Let's take a look at the trend here. Okay, so we can have a look here. This one's quite low authority, but apparently it's niche relevant in terms of their backlinks. Now, what's interesting is this drop off in referring domains and backlinks. That also happened in the last one we looked at as well. I wouldn't say that's a very good sign. They've lost over half of their backlinks in the space of a year. Well, referring domains and a ton of backlinks from those domains. This is also very unnatural. You can see this. I wouldn't say that's a natural looking profile there. It's quite unusual, but they have a very low amount of referring domains, so that might be why. If this was a huge number and it looked like this, it would be even a bigger problem. All these things are not a great sign. This is not a great sign. That's not a great sign. That's not a great sign. And then if we open up the actual overview, you can see here also, this is a very, very low traffic website, and it's also had a spike and then a drop as well over the last 2 years. So it's possible that the website just went down and then they've started a new website or something in the last year or so, but overall this is not one I'd really care to necessarily get a link on. Now, with citations and directories, you kind of have a bit more room to play with because you can do a lot of them and it doesn't really matter as much as long as you just get the business information there. But I wouldn't be going out of my way to try and get a link on a site like this. You can see here as well, it's just like a lot of links. They got Discount Meds of Canada, which has got nothing to do with Florida. They've got some Florida businesses here, but why they're linking to random stuff in different areas is not really clear. So all those things are just kind of a sign that that's not really what you want to go for. Yeah, so overall it just looks like a really quick and cheap directory that's just basically selling links or trying to get links, and it doesn't look great based on these metrics. So that's another example of a website I would definitely not go out of my way to try and get. You'd be better off going to a more high quality directory and trying to get a link there if you want a directory link. So I hope that gives you some good examples as to what a good website looks like versus an untrustworthy website. If you just had a bunch of these linking to your site, it's not really going to do you any favors. If anything, it might actually cause harm. So that's a basic overview that you can look at when it comes to backlinks. There's obviously a lot more to it, a lot more in depth, and again, you're always kind of having a risk. I mean, let's say you got one from Ream, that probably would be no risk at all, but typically speaking, it's not going to be as clear cut. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you have any questions about this, post them in the comments below and I will answer them. Otherwise, if you'd like me to coach you on how to do SEO and Google ads for only $49 a month, go to learndominatemarketing.com. And if you'd like us to do the SEO or Google ads for your business, go to dominatemarketing.io, book a call with us there. Catch you on the next one.